Thank you for tuning into our seller interview series. Up today, we've got a service and info product business for sale in the health and wellness niche. Created in April of 2014, this business makes $3,900 per month in net profit, and the listing number for the business is 44972. We do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the businesses they're looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making a buying decision. We've got the seller with us today to go through the business and cover everything from niche selection to traffic and monetization. Suzanne, thank you for coming on here today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Keen to get on with the questions.
Yeah, I'm very excited. This is a bit of a, I don't want to use the word unusual because there's nothing negative, but it's not just a standard content site or something like that. It's an interesting business, and I'm excited to get to the questions. But before we do that, I want to go ahead and run through a little quick summary of the business. The business was built in April of 2014, has a monthly revenue of $4,726, expenses of $826 to make for a net profit of $3,900, which is generated on a 12-month average. Included in the sale of this business are the primary domain and all site content and files, secondary website, all social media accounts, all info products, and 3 months of training with the seller. Suzanne, can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
I have had and still have many different blogs, but this website is the one that earns me money. So my first blog was probably back in the mid-2000s. So I've been aware of them at least since they first began. And it was always an interesting way to just reach out and find like-minded people. But at a certain point, it became a business for me when I left my full-time job with certain health issues, and then found that I could develop what I'd already created into a money-making machine, if you like to call it that. Although because it was in the health and wellness industry, it has been extremely rewarding along the way.
Yeah, and that's, contributing to the interestingness of this business in that you get to help people. I love doing things when you get to help people. So can you detail for me, Suzanne, walk me through how does this business make money and how exactly are you helping people?
So the very first program that I started in 2014 was a one-to-one coaching program for this health issue. And because I'd already built up quite a big following by then, I think I had about 5,000 subscribers to my website, which was completely free, all the information at that point, I was able to put out an email and say, hey, look, I can help you with this. Got experience in it. I've got it myself. And I just wanted 6 people to fill the one-to-one program. I think I was charging around about $900, $1,000 at that time for the 6 weeks. And it filled up really quickly. And then once I'd done that 6 weeks, I did another 6 weeks. And the program has mutated since then. And I now do several people at once on an individual basis, not as kind of a group going through. But that has remained kind of the main part of my business, I suppose you could call it, the one-to-one coaching, which is not as onerous as it sounds, actually, because everything is automated and all I have to do is a daily email or 2 plus a weekly phone call with them. And after that, I started to think about other ways that I could help the people who couldn't afford that kind of figure. It wasn't in their budget. And I started doing 2-week workshops, which were really group workshops where we all worked together and there were no individual calls. So that was very much automated with emails for Liz. And there's just a Facebook group where I have to interact with people. And I have done that workshop with live sessions twice a week where I give a training for about 30 minutes and then they can ask questions for about 15 minutes. But that can really be developed in any way you want it. But at the moment, it's fully fledged as a workshop. And everything is developed from emails, marketing emails, right through to the course emails as well. I've also got, which I've just started up, a cooking school for this particular health issue. And I've only done that twice so far. And that's set up with even less work. It's all automated, but with the Facebook group. And I do meal plan packages. And these are pretty popular, where I do a week's worth of meal plans that are flexible, that can be used over and over again. And because over the years I've been doing this, I've developed so many different variations, like people who have to be dairy-free, people who have to be red meat-free, etc. Everybody's an individual. I've got now 42 individual meal plans. So when somebody fills in the questionnaire and sends it to me on their needs for the meal plan, I can pretty much pick out one of those 42 and send it off to them, maybe with a couple of alterations. So even though that involves me, it can be a very, very quick process. But I had just created in the last week or so a new sales page where I'm actually selling those ready-made meal plans, those 42, as a package that I'm not involved in at all. They can buy it straight off the website. I haven't really started promoting that, but already I can see people are buying them. What else have I got? I've got a self-study program, which pretty much covers what I do in the one-to-one coaching. But again, my only involvement with that is a Facebook group. Otherwise, everything's completely automated. They purchase it and they go through it all by themselves. The other thing I have is a very small membership club. And this is only $5 a month, which is crazy cheap. But it's because I had and have, it's archived, a very big Facebook group of 8,000 plus members that was completely free. And it got a little overwhelming after a while for me, even though I know a lot of business came from it, but there was only me in the business. And so I archived that and said to anybody, if they wanted to move across, they could pay, the serious people could come across and pay $5 a month, and they would get a fortnightly newsletter and a fortnightly live session in Facebook. And a certain number did move across. So that's a recurring monthly fee for them. I think I've covered everything. Over the years, obviously, I've expanded and done different possibilities. But I hope I haven't missed anything out there.
Mm-hmm. And as you mentioned, you have things relatively automated and it's pretty easy for you to run. So why have you decided to sell the business?
I'm 64. So in New Zealand, we retire at 65. Also, we've just sold our large 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom home in the city and bought a small cottage overlooking the water in the country, and it needs renovating. And I'm right into that. We've actually just finished stage 1. And I'm just finding my interest isn't on the business quite the same way. And I love this interior design. But I also, one of my other websites, I mentioned I have a lot of them, is called The Path to Minimalism. And I'm really loving that. And people seem to be very keen when I do post in there, but I don't have the time really to do much with it. And I'd love to be able to now focus on that website and completely leave the health issue behind. In a way, dealing with other people's health issues, which are the same as your own, can actually have a downside to it. And it's only recently that I've become aware of that, because it keeps my focus on that health issue rather than getting on with life. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So with everything put together and all the automated processes, and then keeping in mind the couple times a week you do, the webinar and then the one-to-one coachings, how much time do you invest on a weekly basis in this business?
It varies so much from week to week because it depends how many one-to-one clients I have. I mean, in the past, I've had an average of about 6 one-to-one clients at any one time. Because of the selling and buying of the house and the renovating, I have kind of pulled back on that a little bit, and I now just have 3. So with the 3 one-to-one clients, I'm probably doing a couple of hours a day, but that's part of that is website maintenance, of course, and doing a weekly blog post. But as far as the blog post is concerned, I've actually got around about 52 videos already made up. They're 3 to 4 minute videos on different topics within this health issue that can just be pumped out week after week. I've also got a lot of recipes. I've been doing recipes for the last 3 weeks, but I often do videos, and they also can just be pumped out as you want to. So again, not a lot involved, but you do have to actually sit down and do it and post it, and then obviously put it out on social media, etc. So a couple of hours, I suppose, at the moment. If you go up to 6 clients, you'd be doing a few more. And it depends. Some clients are a bit more needy than others. Others, you hardly ever hear from them. They send their daily diary page. It's simple and you kind of deal within 5 minutes and move on. So it does certainly vary. And if I'm doing a 2-week workshop or the cooking school, then maybe you've got to add another half an hour a day on for that. Although the setup would take a little bit longer, but all the emails, everything's in place. It's a matter of going and getting them and then kind of posting them in MailChimp to send them out at the right date.
Mm-hmm. And how do people find your website and your course? Is it through, is it all organic or do you do any paid traffic?
It's practically all organic. Obviously, I've got my subscriber list and I'm contacting them weekly through the newsletters. And when I'm doing a push on something like a workshop, then there are a series of emails that will go out to them. Again, I've got those all templated and just make tiny changes like dates and things for them. But it's normally subscribers, social media, and I've got one main affiliate in the UK who sends me a lot of business. It's quite a big health site. And that's it. So I don't really have to do a lot more. And that's because there's only me. So I take the amount of business that I can deal with. Obviously, if then you did like paid traffic, Facebook ads, etc., you can blow this up a whole lot bigger. But I've always contained it because there's only me. And I did go through a period of thinking I'd bring somebody on to help me. But as I said, I'm in my 60s. Do I want to expand this business when I'm really wanting to wind down my life in other directions or keep it the way it is? And then just recently, of course, I thought, well, why not sell it and have somebody else actually grow the business for me? Well, not for me, for them, but it'd be lovely to see that happen.
Mm-hmm. What opportunities for growth do you see a new owner being able to take advantage of, speaking of someone growing it?
I think there's enormous possibilities to grow it. As I said, I've contained it all the way through so that it was just something I could manage. The minute you start to promote this properly, I think it could go crazy, especially things like the meal plans. The cooking school, I think, is a really good way to go. I don't think anybody at all is doing a cooking school in this niche at the moment. They haven't thought along those lines yet, since this whole niche I'm in is a relatively new one, and it's a whole scientifically backed, medically backed niche, which is fantastic since that's the way my mind works. So you can be a forerunner in this. I was the very first one coaching this online. Back in 2014, there was nobody else doing it. And now there's a few others, but very few others, and some of them are not doing it very well at all. But as for the meal plans, the customized meal plans, no one else is doing that. Someone else is doing ready-made plans, one person. So you can see that there's just enormous growth possibilities because of it being such a new niche.
And do you feel like there are any potential risks associated with this business that a new owner should be aware of?
Risk? I guess my mind doesn't go in that direction. Obviously, as the niche catches on, because it is a medically backed niche, there are going to be more people trying to do this. I don't think anybody will ever do it quite as well as me because I was there right at the beginning. I've got the training from the Monash University, so all of my knowledge is in that website. And of course, the website has got enormous depth to it now. I haven't checked lately how many pages, let alone posts, but there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. So risks, you're just going to have to keep up with what's happening out there, I suppose, with the competition as it starts to get better. That would mean you'd have to get better, but that's the same in any field. Other risks, I don't know. Suggestions?
I mean, you've kind of covered them. I mean, there are obviously standard risks to any online business, but I think you've covered the major ones. Suzanne, are you willing to commit to a non-compete?
Oh, absolutely. I'm moving on. Moving out of this and moving on.
And, you live in New Zealand, as you said, and you're retiring next year. So congrats on that. You made it, 65. Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is kind of I don't want to say tricky, but it's a question that needs to be asked in terms of this business because so much of the business is built around your knowledge. Not necessarily branded with you, but you have so much knowledge. So how much support are you willing to offer a new owner during the transition period?
I'm here for them. I don't want to see this whole business collapse. I had a business in the past that was doing well. had enormous possibilities. Somebody bought it and they drove it into the ground once my training was finished, and it was the saddest thing to watch. So I don't want to see that happen. Definitely the 3 months, and I can see it as fairly focused training during that period as they get to know all the files and where to find everything and just how the business works. But also Skype calls within that time. Face-to-face is always good. But even after that, look, we can sketch out something over a year period, I would say, where they still need to come to me and say, look, I found this file, what's it for? Or I can't find this, where is it, kind of thing. I'm sure we can work something out.
Are you open to negotiating on something like an earnout?
That is certainly something that I would negotiate on, yes.
Awesome. Suzanne, my final question for you, and thank you so much for taking the time with me, but putting it all together here, why do you feel like this is a business worth buying?
It's an incredible business from the point of view of how it helps other people. I mean, there are people out there with this problem. It's 20% of the Western world have it. And until now, until there's been this medical discovery, they haven't known, and still many of them don't know that there is a solution. So this is what drives me and has driven me from day one, the fact that I want to reach those people and I want to get them better. And my programs have enormous success. And you can see on my website under testimonials, there's probably hundreds there now, testimonials from clients who've gone through the program and are eternally grateful for turning their lives around. Just you've been doing the world an enormous service to keep this going.
Suzanne, thank you so much for taking the time with me today. I very much so appreciate it.
You're welcome.
If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, and if you want more information, the link will be below the video that will take you to this marketplace listing. If you're watching this on the listing site and want more information, become a depositor today. When you make the deposit, one of our business advisors will be in contact with you, and you'll be given everything you need to review this business. Have a great day.